Good day to all of you, my dear brothers and sisters. I am very happy to be with you today. In fact, I feel blessed to be speaking in front of you. The title of my talk is A Talk on Giving a Talk. And this talk is about exactly what the title says. I don't know how you feel right now, no, but maybe you're going through this training because you will be asked at some point to give talks. So I'll give you 5 minutes to turn to your seatmate and answer this question. Are you afraid in giving talks? Why or why not? Okay, going back to the topic. You see, brothers and sisters, as Christian leaders, it's hard to not give talks. We will be invited to share. It may be an exhortation for worship or a teaching in our action group. Or you might be asked to give a talk during a prayer meeting or CLS or one of our formation courses. Or maybe later on, you will be asked to give presentations in conferences. Whatever that is, we cannot escape in giving talks. And sometimes we're afraid. But let me encourage you by saying that St. Paul, in his second letter to the Corinthians, says this: For we preach not ourselves, but Jesus as Lord, and with ourselves as your servants for Jesus' sake. Brothers and sisters, it's okay to be afraid. But sometimes our fear is very much connected to our capacity. We're very much conscious of ourselves. Don't worry. We are not preaching ourselves. We are preaching Christ to others. And giving talks is also part of our service. That's why we present ourselves as servants for Jesus' sake. That's what St. Paul says. We also give talks, we also give teachings because it is part of our responsibility. We are asked to give talks not because we are gifted, not because we are talented, not because we're the best speakers, but we're just given an opportunity to train others, to form others. Again, from St. Paul in his letter to the Colossians, he says that we might present them mature in Christ. And in forming disciples, in allowing our brothers grow in maturity as disciples, we cannot help but give talks or give teachings. Public speaking may come naturally to some, more than to others. But it is good for us together to continue to grow and become effective as speakers. Not for the sake of becoming good speakers, not for the sake of becoming excellent speakers, but for the sake of becoming effective in our forming, in our teaching, that we might be effective in helping others become better disciples. So let's go directly to the meat. And I would be presenting to you tips and principles. There are a lot of self-help books out there, and I may not have enough time to go through them one by one. But whatever you have heard before in public speaking, whatever you have learned before, you can apply all of them. And I would like to stick only to 6 principles and tips. And I hope that this will help you. First tip: audience. Know your audience. Keep in mind whom you're addressing. Keep in mind whom you're giving this talk to. Is your audience going to be all Lingkod members? Are there going to be leaders of Lingkod? Is this going to be a talk only given to women or to men? Is this talk going to be given to parishes? Are you going to give talks to people who you're trying to evangelize? It is important for you to know your audience. Because if you know your audience, your talk will become more engaging. You can tailor your talks for the needs of your audience, for what they want to hear and what they need to hear. So it is important for us to know our audience. Second tip, facts. What do I mean by facts? When I say facts, I mean the subject matter, the topic. Know what you're talking about. Make sure that you're not giving a lot of informations to people who don't need those informations. First, know what exactly the goal of the talk is and know how to attack that goal. So know your talk, know the subject matter. But there's also this, what we call the curse of knowledge. There's a tendency for us to speak more than what is needed. And we also tend to forget what it means not to know them. It is important for us to put ourselves in the shoes or in the place, in the position of our audience. This is now matching the facts, matching the data, matching the information with the audience. It is important for us to, after knowing the audience, and okay, this is my knowledge, how much of my knowledge is needed that would be helpful to my audience. So be clear with what you're about to be giving. It is also important for us to make sure that our talk is understandable, that they can get what we're saying. It is good for our audience to know or to feel that they're smart, that they're getting it, that they're understanding what we're saying. Because once they feel that, they will be more engaged and they would want to learn more. But when I say knowledge, it is also important for us to not only know here, but know it here. Know from the heart. That we know about the talk, not just the informations about the talk, that we have lived out our talk. Most of our teachings is actually a passing on of knowledge, a passing of wisdom and experience. And so therefore we need to walk the talk. Again, I would like to emphasize that it's a past tense. Walked. That we already have lived it out before we can even share the talk to others. Again, the adage is true. We cannot give what we don't have. The third tip is friendship. Friendship means connection with the audience. We need to emphasize connection. Because rattling just, facts and figures won't be effective if trust is not built. It is important for them to actually know that we are connected to them, that we care about them, that we are sharing what we have learned in the past, that we're giving this talk because we care about them and we feel that they need this, that we desire that they will be able to learn something from this because this will help the way they will live their lives. We have heard this, that people don't actually care how much we know until they will know how much we care. So it is important for us to build friendship with our audience so that we can build trust, we can build rapport, and that they would be interested to know what we know. The fourth is engagement. Different people are engaged differently because different people learn differently. So we need to diversify our delivery. We will use different techniques. We will use discussion. We will use stories. We will use videos. We will use PowerPoints and slides and whatnot just to engage our audience. It is good for us to use aids. We call this instructional aids. And there's a lot of technology these days that could help us do that. But then again, these are just instruments. Technologies are actually good servants, but they are poor masters. Meaning, we don't want technologies or all these aids to overpower, to drown our message. We don't want these technologies to replace the speaker or to replace the message. We use them to get us halfway where we want to go, but not the whole way. They are not to replace the message. They're only help or aid. So let's use them. Let's engage different people, but let's use them wisely. We also use different engagements because people these days have shorter span of attention. You want to keep them engaged. So let's make sure that we shift, we diversify our delivery. The fifth is clone. Clone is a pitfall to all speakers. Some speakers would like to sound like the person they admire. Before, I remember hearing a talk from a brother named Raul Roncal. And I was just so amazed at how he gives talk. You probably know him. He's very inspiring. And I wanted to talk like him. I wanted to talk like Bobby. But then I realized that God doesn't like clones. Authenticity is the key if we want to be effective in giving talks. God chooses you to give talks because it's you, not someone else. Because if God wants you to give talks like the way Bo Sanchez would give talks, he could have just chosen Bo Sanchez to give talk. But God chooses you as you. So let us not be clones. Let us be authentic. Let us just use our own words. Let's use, our own language, the way we talk. We don't have to speak as if we're someone else, trying to imitate another person. Again, authenticity is the key. The last tip, brothers and sisters, is time. Let's be watchful with time. We want to know that our talks normally has a limit. We are given a particular time allotment. So let's use them wisely. We don't have whole day. We don't have all the time to give the talks. And so we need to plan. And one tip in order for us to keep, our time or within our limits is for us to again stick to our points. As what I have said a while ago, let's know the subject matter. Let's have a plan. Start planning with how you're going to start your talk. And then it's like a circle. You talk, you develop the talk, and then you go back to your goal. And thus you will know that you're effective because you stick to your point, you stick to your goals. Don't beat around the bush. Don't follow the bunny trails. Stick with your points. Have a good plan of your talk. The second tip, so that you will know, or it will help you be limited, at least within your limits. Prepare in advance. Know the setup. Know what you need. Know if it's possible for you to know the size of the room, to know the projector, so that you can actually rehearse in your mind. You know what you're going to do. You can set it up early. That's a good tip. I like what others are doing. They would ask the speakers, bro, sis, what do you need for your talks? So that you limit the connections, you limit the possibility of making mistakes. Set up early, and you can only set up early in your mind if you know exactly what the setup is going to be. Then practice and prepare. The last but not the least is, in keeping track with time, is that don't consume what is allotted to you. Leave 5 to 10 minutes in order for you to have an opportunity to receive questions from the audience. Q&A is also good because it will deepen the talk or the presentation. So let's remember again what we have learned thus far. Let's remember that it's important for us to know the audience. Next, the facts, that we should know the subject matter, not just cognitively, but it's going to be lived out. We're sharing what we have practiced. Second is friendship. Third is friendship, development of friendship. It's important for us to connect with the audience. Third is engage. We want to engage our audience differently at different times because, again, different people learn differently. The fifth is clone. Don't be a clone. Be who you are when you give talks. And lastly, time. Limit yourself with the allotted time given to you. Brothers and sisters, our goal in giving talks and our desire in giving talks is this. We want to affect the lives of the people, the lives of those who will be listening to us. We want to make sure that they will receive something that will help them live out their lives as they continue to pursue the Lord. This is not about us. This is about God, and this is about the people we're serving. Giving talks or becoming a speaker is not a promotion. This is just one of the many things that we can do for the Lord and for our brothers and sisters. Again, this is not about us. This is about the listeners. This is about the brothers and sisters. And our desire is to have an effect and to affect in the way they live their lives. And so my prayer is this. My dear brothers and sisters, I pray that the Lord will use you as you give talks for His purposes and for His will and for the greater glory of God. So God bless you all.